Good evening and welcome back to Tara Institute. My name is Asvini and I'm really glad to be here again for this final session of our Monday nights this month. Lovely to see some familiar faces, and for those who are new, a very warm welcome. Is anyone here for the first time? Welcome. So for those who are new, these Monday evenings are a space to explore Buddhist ideas from Buddhist philosophy and psychology in a way that's accessible and relevant to day-to-day life. You don't have to identify as a Buddhist to benefit. The focus is on practical tools and reflections that anyone can work with. What has always drawn me to the Buddhist tradition is its invitation to question. The Buddha didn't ask us to believe anything blindly. He asked us to examine his teachings and test it against our own experience. So for our session tonight, I would invite you to bring that spirit of inquiry and that intelligent investigation into what we're going to discuss today. So it'll be good to if there are any questions or anything that comes up in the mind, you can stop me, or we can have some time at the end of this presentation to discuss. So I wanted to start today with doing a stabilizing meditation on our breath, which we have been doing in the last few sessions. And we'll also set our motivation for this session through this meditation. So we can get into our meditation posture. I've been talking a lot about it, so I'll just very briefly go through it again. So the idea is to be comfortable, be relaxed, yet alert. So if you're sitting on a chair, it'll help to keep your both feet firmly on the ground. And if you are sitting on the floor, you can sit in the cross-legged position, half lotus, just cross-legged, or full lotus if you are good at yoga. You rest your hand gently in your lap, right on the left, and the thumbs just touching. So it's important to keep our back spine straight, but not tense, relaxed, but as straight as we can manage it without getting any tension. Keep the chin tucked in slightly, eyes half open, with a gentle gaze resting at the ground in front of you. Or if it works better for you, you might want to close your eyes. So feel free to adjust anything that doesn't suit your body today. So we can start with getting a bit of relaxation. So take a few slow, deep breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. With each breath, allow your body to begin to relax. Let go of any tension that you might be holding. Drop the shoulders, loosen the jaw. Feel your hands grow a bit heavy. No need to make anything happen, just invite the body to rest. Feel the support of the floor or the chair beneath you. Feel the weight of your body being held. Feel your presence here. Just take a few breaths here, breathing in with awareness, And breathing out, the sense of ease and presence. Let's take a moment to reflect. Why are we here this evening? What brought each of us to this space, to this practice, right now? Perhaps it's a longing for more peace and clarity. A wish to face life's challenges with greater wisdom, or simply a sense there's more to understand about the mind. Now, if you can gently expand that intention, could the time we spend together this evening also serve a greater purpose? Not just for our benefit, but so that any clarity, calm or insight we touch here might ripple outwards into our relationships, into our work, into the wider world. Now gently place your attention on your breath. The object of our meditation today is our own breath. Notice where the breath feels most vivid for you. Nostrils, chest or abdomen. Keep your awareness anchored on that point. There is no need to control or modify your breathing. Allow it to flow just as it is. The key is to observe, not interfere. When you notice that your mind has drifted, simply acknowledge it and return to the breath without judgment. Just observe. Are you still with the breath? Now very gently bring your mind, your awareness back to the room. Thank you. Those of you who have been coming along for the past few weeks will know that I've been gently, not so gently, hammering this one particular point, that real happiness comes from turning inward. And I know I have been saying that a lot, but that's only because we are so deeply conditioned to the opposite. Think about it. Throughout our lives, we build habits that pull us outwards in the search of happiness. We chase after success, fulfilling relationships, nice things, perfect bodies. We think that when I get that or fix that, I'll be happy. But if you're really honest, if you observe, we can see the pattern. It never ends. Never ends. The next achievement, the next possession is just around the corner. The pursuit never truly satisfies. But what we have been exploring together this month is a different direction, an inward one. And this can actually be much more fulfilling, much more within our control, something that we can do. So, on the past few weeks, we have been looking at meditation as a way to understand our mind, to transform it, and uncover a more lasting, enduring kind of inner happiness. So, we talked about stabilizing meditation, which is what we did at the start, focusing our attention on a single object and to build our concentration. And even if we can do it for a few moments, we can see a sense of peace or calm. And in that space, we can actually observe what's going on in our mind. We start to see our own patterns, those that help us and those which trip us up. So we get a better awareness of the landscape, of our internal landscape. And last week we started with analytical meditation. And once we have developed a little bit of more understanding, a little bit more control over our attention, we can start to go a little deeper. In analytical meditations, we start to directly work with the causes of our suffering. Disturbing emotions like anger, fear, jealousy, things that afflict us, things that hurt us, and begin to transform them from inside out. So how do we actually do this? It's a process, and it's quite simple. It has 3 steps. First is study and reflect. So you identify an emotion that you have difficulty with, for example, anger. We did a meditation on anger or craving or anything. And then we learn from the teachings or texts that speak to it. And then we reflect, on what we have heard or read, so that to deepen our understanding. Questions like, does it make sense? How does this show up in my life? Try to make that personal connection with whatever we are hearing and trying to relate it with our own experience. And once we have this basic understanding, we go to step 2, which is meditative analysis. Then we bring that topic into meditation. We think through it very slowly and deliberately. For example, we can ask, what causes this emotion? What are its effects? Is there an alternative? So, and once something clicks, if they get a fresh perspective or a deeper understanding, we just sit with it. We stop the analysis, we let it sink in. We allow our minds to become familiar with the new, wiser way of seeing things. So, in some way, we are using our intelligence not only to figure out the external world, but to investigate the world within, our mind itself. As I've been saying, that all our experience, everything that we experience, good or bad, is mediated by our mind. So, and in analytical meditations, we use reason and our understanding, our analysis, to uncover this root of suffering. Once you've identified that something that causes us, bothers us, and then we kind of analyze and investigate just to go to the root of that suffering and see if we can eliminate or modify it. So last week in the meditation together on anger, we tried to look deeply at its consequences, and the purpose of that meditation is not just to understand that anger is harmful, but to really feel it, not just in our heads, but in our hearts. And when that insight arises, when we really see what anger for what it is, we rest in that clarity. We let it settle and let that insight reshape us. So that's why that's where we can see that stabilizing meditations and analytical meditations, they work together. They're not two separate practices. They are two sides of the same coin. So in analytical meditation, we use reason to spark an insight. And then, it's like turning on the heat, bringing this understanding to boil. And stabilizing meditation holds that insight. It's like simmering the flavor gently, so that the transformation permeates every layer of our mind. Become so familiar with it that it arises automatically. So, without analysis, if we're just doing stabilization meditations, we might become calm, but unchanged. And without stability, our insight may remain fleeting and fragile. The thought may just pass through without permeating without changing us completely. So together, these two practices, they can change our mind in a very profound and lasting way. Not just transforming the way we think, but fundamentally transforming how we are. And that's how this meditation actually becomes a path, not just a way to relax, but to reshape our habits, to reshape our emotions, and the very experience of our life. So, yeah. With analytical meditation, with a lot of familiarity with the subject, with our resting in insight and repeated familiarity, the response we want becomes natural, effortless. It becomes our natural expression. So, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, it's great, if I keep meditating on problems with anger, I might be able to change my relationship with anger. At least you can see the possibility of doing that. But then what about, the doubt will creep in, like, what about jealousy? Or sadness, or fear, or anxiety, or laziness, or pride, or obsessive desire. I have a whole collection of these emotions. And it can start to feel like an endless task, far too much to do in one lifetime. And that's where the Buddhist psychology offers a very, very helpful perspective. So back in our first session, if you were there at that time, we touched on a core teaching that is central to the Buddhist philosophy and psychology. All the negative emotions we experience, anger, anxiety, jealousy, craving, fear, all the afflictions, everything that bothers us, disturbs us, they may look different, but they grow out of three basic afflictive states. The first is attachment. That's a craving or a grasping for objects that our mind perceives to be highly desirable. The other is aversion, that is pushing away, a rejection of things which we perceive as undesirable. And finally, the root affliction is ignorance. Ignorance is a mistaken mind whose apprehension of the object does not accord with reality. What this means is it's a root misunderstanding or a misperception of how things actually exist. So, I will use an example of myself to bring this point, make this point clearer. A couple of years ago, when I was presenting here, I shared my own experience in preparing and presenting for these Monday night sessions. Maybe some of you can relate that I am not a natural public speaker. So, even though the subject is somewhat familiar, but the thought of sitting here and talking to you and presenting to so many people, it can create a great number of negative states of mind for me. It could be anxiety, fear, self-doubt. What if I mess up? What if I freeze? What if I embarrass myself? How will you judge me? What if I fail in one way or the other? So many doubts can come. So, from a Buddhist point of view, what's actually happening here? What's happening in my mind? Shakyamuni the Buddha taught that all these thoughts, all my suffering, comes back to the three things we talked about: ignorance, attachment, and aversion. Let's try and unpack this. So my suffering, the root of my suffering in this case, starts with this image I hold of myself. An independent, fixed mental image of Asvini. The image of me, I, that's solid. And once I have that image, I'm trying to protect and enhance that image of myself, a mental image of me. And that is my mind of ignorance. Not being able to see myself as an ever-changing, interdependent phenomena, but a solid, fixed entity. So, this self-image appears to me as quite static, quite fixed. This is the Asvini who came here before this session, and this Asvini will go back home once this session is over. But what is this? What is this I? What is this me? What is this Asvini that we're talking about? Is it my body? If it is my body is changing continuously. I don't have the same body when, I have changed. Even during this session, our cells are continuously regenerating. We don't identify with the body that we had as a 5-year-old. But the sense of self, of me, is still the same. I was young and I am old. So the body I had at the start of this session will not be the same at the end of this session. It would have changed, albeit a little bit. So is this sense of I, Asvini, is it my mind? But mind is also changing moment to moment. My thoughts, my feelings, the overall experience of my life changes all the time. The mind that I had when I came here, and the mind that I have now, and the mind that I will have when I go home, is completely different. So, but somehow, the body has changed, the mind has changed, but somehow, this mental image of me, Asvini, is fixed, static. It hasn't changed. So when talked about the ever-changing, interdependent person, in my perception, is not interdependent, it is not changing, it is fixed. So on this fixed image of me, Asvini, I place desires, things that I want to acquire to enhance this self-image. In this case, I would like praise, and fame, and the more I have, the happier I think I will be. And I definitely don't want the opposite. I don't want criticism or bad reputation. So this is my attachment and aversion, all coming from this image that I created for myself. And these minds of attachment and aversion tend to exaggerate things. They always have a tendency to make things much bigger than they are, both positive and negative. So being criticized feels catastrophic, and being praised, feels great, like winning a lottery. But it's just a few people listening on a Monday night. My reaction is way out of proportion. So from all these basic ignorance, attachment and aversion, a different combination of these emotions can arise. For example, I can have the fear of making this presentation. I could have self-doubt. I could have jealousy for those who speak eloquently without much effort. I could have pride if I do well. So everything seems to be coming from these basic three things. So all of this comes back to this very high importance that I give to my self-image. My criticism or humiliation is a very big deal, because my self-image is a very big deal in my mental universe. This is my self-grasping mind. This is a strong belief that I have in a solid, independent me that always needs to be protected. This is a mental construct. And once I have this self-grasping mind, together with it comes a self-cherishing mind. A mind that thinks that this self-image is the most important thing in the world. It thinks that my comfort, my success, my reputation is the most important thing. And these are the root delusions from which everything else, the entire universe of delusions and suffering, arises. So what we are doing here in meditation, especially analytical meditation, is learning to see through this mistaken view. We are starting to question it, challenge it, and hopefully dissolve it. And over time, that can transform everything. So this tool of analytical meditation gives us a method to go straight to the root, right to the heart of the problem. It helps us to investigate and slowly unravel this powerful, unquestioned force in our life, that's a self-grasping mind. So in our meditation, we start to ask, what exactly is this I that I'm holding to so tightly? I spend enormous amounts of time and energy to satisfy its desire, to protect it from criticism or enhance its status. So what is this I? Is it my body? Is it my thoughts? Is it something solid, unchanging? And if so, can I actually find it? Where is it? These questions are not philosophical puzzles. They are direct and experiential. You don't have to come up with a clever answer. You just need to look clearly and honestly. And when we start to see that I that we are clinging to is not as solid as it seems, when that grips starts to loosen a bit, even a little, the afflictions that arise from it also start to weaken. So that's why this practice becomes very, very powerful. So I think we could do a meditation together on this, and I will guide this meditation. So it's an analytical meditation. So if you could get into your posture. This meditation was adopted from the teachings by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So therefore I think it has its, his blessings. So we'll do that together. So settle into your posture and feel free to adjust. Let's take a few slow, deep breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. Just invite the body to rest. Nothing needs to be done at this stage. Let's take a moment to set our motivation. Together we are turning our minds inwards to explore the root of our suffering. The deeply held but mistaken belief in a fixed, separate self. By gently examining how we actually exist, may we begin to loosen this illusion and move closer to the wisdom that brings real peace, both for ourselves and all sentient beings. Bring your attention to your breath, just for a few breaths, to calm the mind. Now see if you can get in touch with the feeling of I. One way to do is to recall a moment when your sense of self felt especially strong. Maybe someone said something hurtful, or ignored you, or questioned your abilities. Or maybe you were praised or won something, and you felt that strong sense of me. I am the one who did this. Bring that memory to mind and focus not on the emotion, but that strong sense of inner sense of I. The sense of solid real me that was feeling hurt or proud or excited. Now ask yourself, if this I is real and solid and always there, I should be able to find it, right? Let's start by looking in the body. Go through your body part by part, from head down to your toes. Is the I in your hand? In your chest? In your brain? Many people assume that identity is in their brain. But the brain is just a collection of cells. When you look in the mirror and think, I look good, or I look tired, are you seeing your brain? Now check the mind. Could I be your thoughts? Your feelings? Your experiences? Yet when we look closely, we see that mind isn't just one single thing. It's more like a stream that's made of moments of experience. Flow of ever-changing experiences, thoughts, emotions, memories, perceptions, arising and passing, one after the other. They only last a moment, then pass and disappear, and the next one arises. Constantly flowing, constantly changing stream of experiences. So if you think the I can be found in your mind, then check that idea more carefully. If I were truly in the mind, which part would it be? A single thought? A memory? An emotion? Or all of them together? If it is all of them, then doesn't that mean that there are millions of different I's? One for every passing moment? And let's try a little thought experiment. Visualize all parts of your body, the trillions of tiny particles, separating and floating away in the space. And do the same with your mind. Imagine each experience, each thought and emotion drifting away like clouds. Now ask, where is the I? What's left? Take a moment to rest in that spaciousness. Check your feeling of I, the feeling of real, solid, independently existing I. Where is it now? And what is it now? Notice the absence of a fixed, findable I. Now bring everything back together, all parts of your body and all parts of your mind. Let them come back together, reassemble them. Understand, Buddhism doesn't say that there is no I at all. We exist, we function. But the I is not some fixed, independently existing thing. It's something we label, a convenient designation we apply to the combination of the body and mind. What doesn't exist is a solid, permanent, inherently existing I that we so instinctively believe in. That is the fabrication of our mind. Let that settle in your heart. And gently return your awareness to the room. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Let's dedicate. Join me in thinking. Through this meditation, may I weaken the ignorance that keeps me trapped in suffering. May the wisdom I cultivate bring benefit to all beings, leading to lasting peace and freedom. Thank you. This may be a new idea for some of you, so I just want to summarize it once more, otherwise you might be left questioning the value of the kind of meditation we just did together. This self-grasping ignorance is a deeply ingrained habit of believing in this real, solid, independent I that is sitting inside of, our experience, getting hurt, needing things, or just running the show. We don't think about it consciously. It's more like an invisible assumption that shapes our entire view of our life. When I say I'm angry, or they hurt me, or I need this to be happy, there is this very strong and powerful belief that there is a me in there, a solid me in there that needs defending, that needs satisfying, that needs protecting. And based on that mistaken belief, all other disturbing emotions arise. We reach out, grasping at relationships, achievements, approval, thinking they will, finally make us feel secure. That's the mind of attachment. And we push away things that we don't like, convinced that they threaten the sense of self that we have created. That's aversion or anger. We compare this self-image to others, feeling jealous or proud. Always trying to enhance or protect this inner me. So all of this attachment, anger, jealousy, pride comes from this confusion about who we really are. So in Buddhist psychology, this confusion, this ignorance is the root of all suffering. All suffering. The mind projects an idea of self that does not match with reality. When we investigate, it doesn't match with reality. It sees what's changing as permanent. It sees what is unsatisfying as satisfying. It sees what is impure as pure. And most crucially, it sees an independent self when there is none to be found. So how do we get free? What do we do with this realization? So the freedom comes from seeing clearly, by meditating again and again on the reality of how we exist as an interdependent, ever-changing being, not fixed, not solid. Like a river flowing, changing moment by moment. So when we start to truly see this, independent me that we have been protecting and promoting all our lives doesn't actually exist the way we think it is, something shifts. The disturbing emotions that capture us, they start to lose their power. We don't need to fight every negative emotion one by one. We just need to remove this root, and this root is the self-grasping ignorance. So we should be encouraged that we don't have to deal with all the negative emotions. We can our task is not endless. But we should be realistic that this is a very long journey. We are so used to thinking of us as a solid person, so solidly, that it takes a long time to loosen that understanding. And in the meantime, we have to deal with, our afflictions through meditations, different meditations on different afflictions. Venerable Geshe-Doga, our resident teacher, gave a very beautiful and direct piece of advice recently in his teachings. He teaches here every Tuesday night. And he said, he was advising us as to how do we integrate meditation with our life. And he said that throughout the day we should constantly watch our mind. The moment a disturbing thought arises, whether it's anger, craving, jealousy, self-doubt, we should recognize it and immediately apply an antidote. And what is that antidote? It could be remembering a teaching, shifting our perspective, or simply bringing our mind to a peaceful state that we have become familiar with through our meditation. And then he said something really powerful. He says, when you are able to do that, when we are able to catch the mind and skillfully turn it, even just once, a natural joy arises. It's not forced, it's the happiness of feeling in control of our inner world. Even briefly. Of knowing that we don't have to be ruled by every emotion, every tide that arises in our mind. So this is, I think, how we can integrate meditation into our daily life, watching our mind and skillfully applying the ideas we have been talking about in the past few weeks. So in this way, meditation doesn't just become something that we sit in a formal session in the morning and do it. It becomes a thread that weaves through the fabric of our day, steadying us, guiding us, and slowly transforming us. I have been trying to meditate for about 40 years now, and honestly, I wouldn't say that I have made spectacular progress. In fact, quite the opposite. My experience has to meet with pretty much every hindrance described in the text. If it is mentioned in a book as a problem, I have either wrestled with it or I'm still wrestling with it. So I just want to share a few reflections, which I hope I had understood a bit earlier, and so that you can avoid taking quite such a scenic route in your own practice. So I thought about a few points that I'll share with you. First is there's no single correct way to meditate. Buddha didn't teach us one method, he taught several methods. And because all of us have different dispositions, different temperaments, different tendencies. So it's completely okay to explore a little, try different techniques, and see what feels most natural. But once you've found something that resonates, try and stick with it. Confidence in your method, once tested, is very important. Otherwise, there is this tendency of switching between methods when things get hard. Often that feeds our restlessness, like digging shallow wells, never deep enough to find water. So, and the other thing is, the second thing I wanted to say is doubt. It's not doubt about teaching or method. It's good to have a positive and healthy skepticism about the methods and teachings. But I mean doubt in yourself. The inner voice that says, I'm not cut out for this. My mind is too crazy. Maybe other people can meditate, but not me. The kind of self-doubt that comes, and I've definitely been there. And what I found most helpful is to connect to a source of inspiration, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a book, a piece of advice, or just a moment of clarity from my own experience in meditating. So something that helps you reconnect with the deeper potential of your own mind. And the third is that meditation is not a linear journey. Some days your mind will feel very calm, clear. You'll come out of the session feeling very light and uplifted. Other days it's just a battle, even to sit still. Your mind feels like a washing machine, churning with distractions, emotions, thoughts, noise. And that's completely normal. It's completely normal. The important thing is to stay steady, not chasing the good days or giving up the difficult ones. Just showing up for the practice honestly and patiently. That's the real strength. Sometimes you feel that you had a great session and the next day you're very bad and you start losing hope. But that's how it is, It just takes time. And the fourth is to be kind to yourself, and this is a big one. Meditation is about forcing the mind into submission. It's not like boot camp or going to the gym and beating ourselves to fitness. If we bring that kind of harsh, self-critical mindset to our practice, always judging and demanding progress, often backfires. The real heart of meditation is gentleness, curiosity, and care. Without that, we are losing the spirit of what we are doing. I feel that every day we sit into meditation, we should be curious. It's said in Zen Buddhism, you have a mind of a beginner, that every day you think, oh, this is my first time, and you see what happens, what it brings. And last thing is quality over quantity. Especially at the beginning, it helps to keep the session short and manageable. Our teacher, Venerable Geshe-Doga, often reminds us that we should stop our session when we are still going well. When we are already tired or fed up. And he compares it to parting from friends in a happy mood. If the farewell is pleasant, then you naturally look forward to seeing them again. So, in the same way, if our session ends on a positive note, we are more likely to look forward to the next one. So, with regular practice, benefits gradually reveal themselves. And over time, your confidence and enjoyment will grow, and you'll probably find yourself sitting a bit longer, not because you have to, because you want to. So I think developing that relationship with your own practice, to be patient, consistent, and kind, not judging, not rushing, just think of coming back again and again. That's how the transformation happens, slowly, naturally, and quite deeply. I think that's where I'll stop for this evening. Any questions that you have? Anything that comes to mind that you want to talk about?
I noticed you use beads. Are they like meditation beads?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. If you can also meditate on with your beads on a mantra. That's also a way to meditate. So it keeps you connected with the mind of meditation. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about your practice? Can I ask a question about your practice?
Yes, please.
So you mentioned 40 years?
Yeah.
So Buddhism helps us to see that there is no such a thing as injustice in the world. Like everyone meets his or her own karma, etc. But despite this theoretical knowledge, I'm talking only about myself, I still see so much suffering that I perceive as horrible injustice. And despite the fact that I realize that these children or adults, they meet their own karma. For some reason, this perception of injustice is incredibly solid, and it creates anger. After 40 years of practicing, did you experience something similar? Like this illusion that, it's such an injustice.
There is, of course, and that you use that feeling. You're trained. You're taught to use that feeling to develop compassion. To channel that feeling of feeling injustice for others into developing more stronger compassion, to feeling of love in your heart, to wishing others to be free of suffering, and wanting them to be Of course, you do whatever you can physically do in a worldly way, but when you're talking about transformation of your own mind, you convert that very strong feeling into a feeling of very strong compassion. At the beginning of this session, I recited that verse where every time we do any practice, we have this very strong intention to grow our wisdom, to become a Buddha, for the benefit of all sentient beings, not for your personal benefit, for the benefit. So that gives you the energy of effort. Channel that energy into effort, whether you do things physically or you transform your own mind.
You talked about stabilizing and analytical meditation. Does the Tara Institute practice metta-bhavana as well?
Sorry?
Does the Tara Institute practice metta-bhavana, like the loving kindness meditation?
Yes. We do practice that, and yes, it's a kind of meditation that analytical meditation that we do. So yes, it is done here as well. Yeah.
Is it possible that by doing more stabilizing meditations, we experience feeling of those non-negative emotions?
Yeah, I think when you have developed concentration, when you are single-pointedly focused on one object of your meditation, So the mind quietens, you feel a sense of calm. So during the meditation, your concentration can be very acute. You can just be holding or merging with the object of meditation, and you can develop through single-pointed concentration. You can develop a state of what is called calm abiding, which is where you have full pliancy, physical and mental pliancy. You can stay with your object of meditation for as long as you want. So that is the pinnacle of that practice. So with analytical meditations, we are also looking at transforming ourselves. So when you're sitting in a deep samadhi, but when you come back to normal life, if you haven't really addressed the basic, disturbing emotions, then they may still arise. So we use both these practices together.
Could it be that they may not arise because of the state of mind?
So when we do this practice of calm abiding, we rest. The insight that we create is emptiness of an intrinsically existing self. That becomes the object of meditation, finally. Okay, that was my next month. Monday night teachings will be led by Damien. Many of you probably know Damien already. He's a deeply experienced practitioner and a very, very skilled teacher. When I started coming to Tara Institute on Monday night sessions many years ago, Damien was one of the teachers who really, really inspired me. So I'm sure you'll find his sessions both engaging and enriching. So there's some tea and cake in the dining hall. I'll still be around if you have any other questions. Otherwise, good night. And thank you very much.